Hello and konnichiwa from Tokyo. Welcome to our second Sakura Science Club Japan alumni meeting. It is our pleasure to have so many participants today, joining us from different countries from all over the world. So without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Akira Kodo, Vice President of Japan Science and Technology, has been actively promoting science and technology advancement in Japan over the years to give us an opening speech. Please welcome Mr. Akira.
Hello everyone, my name is Akira Koda, Vice President of Japan Science and Technology Agency. I'm delighted that all of you could join this event, co-hosted by the Sakura Science Club in Japan and JST. It is important that we continue interacting and developing mutual trust even during the ongoing COVID crisis, and I offer my heartfelt thanks to the SSC for their effort to make this event happen. The Sakura Science Club in Japan consists of SSC members who chose Japan as a place for higher education or work. And today we will hear very valuable information about research life in Japan. I thank Dr. Lai Han Wei, head of SSC in Japan, for proposing this very useful topic. Today's event consists of panel discussion of research life in Japan by alumni and introduction of top-tier research in Japan by Japanese researchers. We also have Q&A sessions, so I encourage you to ask questions and benefit from the expertise. From last year, the number of countries eligible for the Sakura Science Program has greatly expanded, and we look forward to welcoming new members from all over the world. International cooperation and mobility are key to solving our most complex global challenges. And I hope our expanding network of talented human resources will inspire new cooperation in the future. Thank you for continuing support of Sakura Science, and please enjoy today's event.
So thank you very much, Mr. Koda, for the right introduction. So ladies and gentlemen, tell us, are you interested in studying and working in Japan? So please vote on your screen right now, and you'll be only given 10 seconds to vote. Then the time starts from now. So please select whether it's a yes or no. Like, would you like to study in Japan? We'd like to know what you think. All right. Let's see. Thank you for your vote. Let's just see the results. Okay, we have more than 61% which is interested in studying in Japan in the future. So if you were one of them, I'm sure that the following session today by our alumni studying in Japan would impress you a lot. So without wasting any much time, let us welcome Mr. Nicholas from Okinawa Institute of Science and Technology, which is also the moderator of session 1, to start today's panel discussion. Nicholas, please.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Adam-san, for the kind introduction. So here we are joined by seven in total, about seven panelists, and we'll be mostly talking about life in Japan by SSP or SSC alumni. So basically, yeah, just to briefly introduce myself, I'm as introduced by Adam-san, my name is Nico, and I'm from Indonesia, and I've been quite long here, and now currently I'm a PhD student at the Okinawa Institute of Science Technology. And I actually joined SSP in 2014, which was quite a while ago. All right, so without further ado, I will start the next session. So I'll be guiding the next session, which will take around 45 minutes, in which firstly, I would like to talk about difficulties that our alumni has faced since they came to Japan. For example, for sure, coming to Japan is not really that, I'm quite sure it's probably very different from their own countries. here people speak a different language, and also the culture might be really different. And some people might have hard time adjusting, but I'm sure our alumni here, they've been here for quite a while, and I'm quite sure they're adjusting good. So, all right. So firstly, I would like to have Omar-san on stage. So if you could turn on your camera. So yeah, firstly, I would like to ask you about the language problems you've had. So you're from Bangladesh, right? So since coming to Japan, what problems have you had basically, especially regarding language? Could you tell me more about that?
Thank you, Nicholas-san. Hello, everyone. I'm Nusrat Omar. I'm from Bangladesh, and I'm not for so long in living in Japan. I have recently been a student in Japan, and the language problem I had, of course, for a newcomer, it is difficult for a student who does not speak Japanese in living in Japan. But for in study case, I'll say it is difficult when you are interacting with a student and or a teacher, and they cannot communicate with you in English, and you cannot communicate with them in Japanese. So it is pretty difficult to work with them in the field of research. For example, I am actually, I have taken over a Japanese student's work for my research, and he is supposed to pass on his knowledge about it before he graduates. But we actually both had to invest a lot of time on just to communicate about our subject, about our topic. And I won't say it was very effective, but Google Translate does not help in case of your study. So I'll suggest for the students who will be coming to Japan in near future, try to employ your time in learning Japanese before you come to Japan.
Okay, thank you very much for the answer. Yep. Thank you very much for the answer. So I think, yeah, our friend Omar-san here has talked about the language barrier that she has faced since coming here. For me, I've also had a little bit of trouble when I first started doing research coming to Japan. It was especially the technical terms. It's been really difficult, I think, yeah. So it's always beneficial to be able to speak Japanese, even though it's only conversational level Japanese, because it could help you get really closer to people around you, especially. So yeah, thank you again for the answer. And I would like to go to the next speaker. So Rahul-san, please, if you could open your camera. And so I would like to ask you about the problems you've had about food in Japan, I guess. So I've talked with you a couple while ago, and you said you've had a little bit of problem about food. So what do you think about that? Could you share your experiences to us?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Nicholas-san. So I'm Rahul Maruju. I'm from India. So yes, food is one of the problems I have faced in Japan. But before talking about the problem, like Japan is a land with so many beautiful varieties of food, like ramen, udon, or like it has introduced a brand new taste to the entire world. But unfortunately, if you have some restrictions in your diet, for example, if you're a vegetarian or you want to eat only halal food, it would be a difficult task in Japan because most of the items have meat in some form or non-halal food. So this will be a critical problem, especially at the initial stages. So some ways I have tackled is that the first and the simplest way is like cooking your own food. So you can get a lot of varieties of vegetables, which are common in most of the parts in the world. You can find them in Japan and you can make your own recipes. Another thing is that like, just like identifying some common vegetarian items, like you can take your Japanese friend to a shop and ask him to show what are the foods which you would like to know, because the packaging has all the information in Japanese. So as a beginner, you may not know Japanese. So it may be a very good idea to take someone along with you and get used to some common items in your nearby supermarkets, and you can get adapted to that food. But yeah, once you get to know the different types of food, like I really recommend to try out the varieties in Japan. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much for the comments regarding food. So yeah, basically, I've also had problems. Like I've had people who've had problems finding, for example, halal food and other stuff. People with dietary restrictions, basically. But especially if you're living in a bigger city, I think it's a little bit easier to find more options. And from my experience lately, compared to 7, 10 years ago, it's way easier to find more food that is that could be eaten by people with dietary restriction. So I think you're living in Tokyo, and so for example, in your university, how is the cafeteria, for example? Have you had do you have like halal food, or do you have like food for vegetarian, for example, in your cafeteria?
Yes, so among all the items in the cafeteria, there is just one vegetarian curry. So only that is the only option. But the university is trying to increase the number of vegetarian items. But as of now, it still does not have so many options for people with restrictions.
Right. Yeah, I hope in the future, yeah, there will be more options. And another problem that you pointed out was about language as well, because sometimes in the food packaging, they only write it in Japanese, right? But lately there have been like websites that are telling people about food that might be halal, food that might be good for people for dietary restrictions. So people could check those out, and maybe that will help them. So yeah, I mean, I guess knowing a little bit more Japanese would also help in that sense. Yeah, thank you very much, Raul.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I guess I'll go to our next speaker for a bit. So we have Bidisha-san here, who has been in Japan for about 5 years actually, and she's actually right now a researcher, and she's doing a research on geology, which is really interesting. So could you please tell me a bit about how COVID-19 was, how it was difficult for you, especially you were doing like, for example, if you're doing like geological surveys and stuff, especially for the last 2 years, it's been kind of difficult to conduct research. I mean, for myself, I've also had problems where I couldn't really go to the labs and things like that. So if you could share to us about your experiences.
Hello, everyone. I'm Bidisha from India. So I'm a geologist, and most of our work is collecting samples from the field work and then taking them to the lab and doing experiments on them. So COVID-19 has been a very difficult situation because we could not go to the field for a long time. And then also for restrictions in the university, we could not work in the labs. So that was a very difficult time because my work is lab-based. And if you cannot work from home in your lab. And also because of that, our work pressure increased, and we had some problems in publications and getting our results in time. But fortunately, my supervisor is very helpful and supportive, so I could pass my graduation with flying colors with help from my supervisors. But another thing that happened during the COVID-19, because of the flight restrictions, we could not go back home and visit our family at a time where they were also facing very hard situations. So that was a bit of difficult and also caused a lot of mental pressure. But fortunately, now it's coming to an end, I hope, and the situations are coming to a better position. So I hope that in the near future, everything will turn to normal very soon.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, for the last 2 years, I've also had similar problems, especially with travels. I never could travel actually during the COVID. Like I was supposed to attend conferences. I'm sure all our friends here were all under the similar situations, especially for the last 2 years. Most people couldn't come to Japan as well. So I think some of us might have been stuck outside Japan where there were no flights and there were no visa. But now Now that the border is open and people could come in, it's a really good opportunity, I think, for everyone. And I think I would want to ask a little bit more question to you, Bidisha. So what do you think about like being a researcher in Japan? So you finish your PhD and now you're doing research. Have you had any difficulties, for example, with your professors or just in the lab in general, for example?
Well, one of the difficulties in Japanese research is the language, as Nusrat said, that because our lab is, everyone is Japanese and we have to interact in Japanese. So it's very important that you study at least some amount of Japanese. But apart from that, maybe another difference is the work pressure. Usually people know this, that in Japan, the work pressure is slightly higher than other countries, but I think you can cope up to that. It's very important to take your own time and take care of your own health. And you do your research, because if you mess up your health, you cannot work no matter how hard you try. So that is a very important point. So yeah, I also took some time to cope up with work culture in Japan, but now I guess it is a very beautiful country and a very beautiful place to work in. And also I live in a inaka, that is the countryside. Compared to Tokyo, it's almost a village. And the people around them are so helpful as well. And also the people of the university. It's been a very nice stay and research experience up until now. Thank you.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so living in the countryside seems pretty nice. I've lived both in Osaka and Okinawa, and it's a really different situation, especially regarding the people. Both are great. They have their own benefits. They have their own disadvantages. But yeah, that's cool. Let's move on to our next topic. So we would like to talk about the differences in research or teaching environment between Japan and their home countries. So I would like to first go to, so we have 4 panelists here actually. We have Chin-san from Vietnam, Dia-san from Indonesia, Sweta-san, which is from India, I think, right? And Tanzin, which is from Myanmar. So firstly, I would like to talk to, I think I would like to ask Tanzin to maybe open his camera and talk about how is it different conducting research and basically conducting research in Myanmar compared to in Japan, because you've been doing research on microplastic, which is really interesting. And as we all know, Japan is really strong on those environmental and marine field of research, basically. Yeah, if you could please. Sorry, Tanzin, your microphone is off. Could you please turn it on? Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Nicholas, for your introducing me. I'm Tanzin. I am from Myanmar. Okay, what is the difference from Japan and Myanmar for research? Because, of course, you know, Myanmar and Japan are very, very different. For example, developing country and developed country. It's also kind is different from 3 or 2 words. In actual situation, it is very, very different. So, for example, electricity and also natural childhood healthcare technologies. So in Myanmar, we have not too much sophisticated instrument. For example, modernized instrument, very, very rare case. And also not only modernized instrument, but also basis needed research facility are lacking in also real side of the Myanmar, especially we can get in Mandalay and Yangon. So very, very different for research. And also now plastic pollution and microplastic pollution is very, very emerging in not only Japan, but also the whole world. So especially Asian country is very, very mismanagement of plastic pollution. So now Asian country is very difficult to control the plastic waste. These plastic waste can enter the marine plastic life. Therefore, we need to control the plastic waste in terrestrial area and also ocean. So Myanmar environmental pollution has very, very lacking the data. Microplastic pollution, no data in Myanmar. So this I am focusing on Myanmar microplastic pollution, not only Yangon, but also Mandalay and other rural area. And so therefore, we need to focus microplastic pollution and also plastic waste management. It is very, very important. For example, in Japan, plastic waste system is very, very good. So therefore, we need to follow this Japan policy and plastic waste management. These are the different from Myanmar and Japan. Not only environmental policy, but also other research areas are very, very different. These are all for me. Thank you so much, Nicholas.
All right, thank you very much for the explanation. Yeah, so yeah, I think research especially is highly tied also with, especially in marine or environmental sciences, like about microplastic. It is also really related to the government, for example, the regulation, the rules and regulations that they're setting up, right? So I guess it's a really good perspective to see how different it is in Southeast Asian countries compared to East Asian, or in this case, Japan, which we can say yeah, a country that has been doing a lot of research on that, and it's quite good in that field. All right, that's really great, and I would want to next talk about Indonesia. So I actually came from Indonesia as well, but however, I have never really researched in Indonesia. So in this case, I want to talk about the differences in doing research in Japan compared to Indonesia. So Dia-san, if you could please just introduce how the differences arise, or like basically the differences between researching in Japan and Indonesia. Please go ahead.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity, Nicolas Sanz. I am a PhD student at Kyushu University, and I also a researcher at Research Center for Drug Discovery and Development in Indonesia. And I want to describe about the differences between my country and Japan's. In Japan have integrated research between industry, government, and academic. But in Indonesia, we still adopt this system. And then Japan have advanced technology with adequate infrastructure and tools. It's make easy to do research in Japan. And also in here, easy to order the research material. If we want to order today, we can get the materials maybe 3 days later. But in Indonesia, we need 6 months to waiting the materials. And then Japan have a big research fund from industry and government. And Japan also give some grants for collaboration research with another country like SATREP, GSPS, or JICA. But in Indonesia, the research fund just come from the government with the limitations nominal. And also, Japan researcher able to publish international patent like a Scopus journal with a high impact factor. And also many Japanese researchers achieve for the Nobel, but in Indonesia, just a good researcher to be able to do that. And until now, Indonesian researcher had no Nobel, but we are dreaming in the future we will have it. In here, people really hardworking. They spend 10 until 12 hours per day to do research. So sometimes it makes me mad because I'm not usual to do that, because in Indonesia, we just spend 8 hours per day for research. And with all the conditions, Japan is good and recommended place to do the research and study. And the environment support us to become a professional researcher in here. So that's why I choose Japan for study. Thank you, Nicolas Sanz.
Experience in research, but in Japan, what I see so far is that there's from the administration side, it's quite easy getting samples, getting materials for research, and also grants. Yeah, there's a lot of scientific grants in Japan which you can apply for. So it's really interesting, especially for people who want to do research. People can come to Japan and apply for grants, and it's not. I don't think it's really that difficult. And even though it could be quite competitive, but there's a lot of grants there.
Yeah.
So especially compared to Indonesia, I think the grants, the number of grants and also the quality of the grants is quite high. And I've had those kind of experiences before as well. That's really nice. But I think all in all, finally, it also depends on the regulations stuff, right? So how the research grants are regulated and everything, it's a little bit different between Japan and Southeast Asia, in this case, Indonesia. All right, so I'll try to go to our next speaker. So So I would like to ask about the differences in educational system between India, for example, and Japan, especially in terms of undergrad. Could you share us your insights on this, please?
Well, hello everyone. I'm Shweta and I'm from India. I'd say in the system itself, there isn't like a lot of differences, but there are a few differences among the educational system and culture in Japan and India. And one thing that really struck me hard is the idea of placement, which is like highly ingrained in most Indian universities. Just to give an idea of what happens in India is that a group of company that relates to a specific department or field comes to the college and they conduct their interviews and provide placements to students who are selected. And there is a specific period in the university that's dedicated to the placement preparation, but this culture is relatively less common in Japan in the undergraduation stage. Well, both systems have got its own advantages and disadvantages, and I don't want to take a side because like I do agree with both the systems. In case of India, there is like a direct training that's provided and the placement is accessible. Although the high population of India and thus the high number of the graduates can influence the number of people who are actually getting placed. And in case of Japan, the university lets the students to learn and reach the goal by themselves through their academic and university experience. And that's also great, I guess.
Okay, cool. Thanks very much for sharing your insights about the differences in the educational system in India and Japan. So I just have one question actually. How was your experience being an undergrad here in terms of language? Have you had problems taking classes, for example, or are your classes in English? And yeah, basically, have you had any problems with language itself?
Well, I would say that as of with classes, all my classes are in English because I'm in an international program, which is specific for only international students, and thus it's like designed entirely in English. But in general, living in Japan, I have been here for like 4 months. It's a bit difficult. I mean, it's manageable for me because I'm a bit comfortable with my Japanese, but I do have friends who are in the beginner level, and I can like understand how hard it should be for them to socialize with people here. And when I am like when I speak to international students who are in the Japanese courses, they do say like how difficult it is for them to learn the entire course in Japanese and to take like exams and write essays in Japanese. So although I have personally never experienced that to a great extent, I do feel like it's a bit hard to take like classes and stuffs in Japanese.
All right, thank you very much. So yeah, I think I really understand your situation. For me being like before, I was also taking classes in both English and Japanese, and it was quite difficult at actually taking classes in Japanese. All right, so we'll go to our last speaker, well, our last panelist here in this session at least. So, you're here?
Yes.
Right, okay. So I was mostly interested because you're now working, I believe, in Japan, and you are doing your PhD here as well.
Yes, of course.
So I would want to ask you about a little bit about your research. So you were doing chemistry, especially about radiation.
Yes.
So yeah, could you just share to us about your experiences there?
Yes, thank you, Nicholas. I'm Jin from Vietnam, and I joined the Sakura Science program from the early day of 2014, and now I work for a Japanese company. And maybe many people talk about the advantage for studying in Japan, but I approach in another way. In my viewpoint, the student welfare in Japanese university is very nice. If you are studying in chemistry, biology, or relating to radiation study, you may have the risk of cancer caused by exposure to dangerous material. You may not aware about this risk, but Japanese government, your university, and your professor worry about your health. So you will have to project about two times a year for scan for cancer risk. So I think this is the great point in the Japanese university. You are protected to carry out your study, purchase your dream. I think so. This is very, and in my viewpoint now, I'm working for the Japanese company. Maybe you ever hear about the term of Horenso. That means report, contact, and discuss. I think it's also in the academic class. So you know that your research and your study research, not only your responsibility, it's also your professor responsibility and your university responsibility. So you must, as much as possible, contact with your professor, discuss anytime possible about the problem, so you can control the quality of your study result. So I think so.
Thank you very much for sharing your experiences, especially that you're probably one of the most seniors who are working in Japan, which people might be interested if people want to work in Japan. Yeah, okay, cool. So I'll just go to the next session, which is Q&A. So I was expecting a lot of questions from the audience. So please, if you have any questions, it's now this is the perfect time to ask your questions. So I'll go with the first question here. So Arafat Hassan Ralon here asked about how to approach a professor for PhD supervision, for example. Is there any specific strategies?
Okay, so I contacted my supervisor via email, and I think professors in Japan are very busy, so it's best to keep some time at hand when you email your professor, and you cannot expect an answer maybe on the next day or even within 2 or 3 days. So it's best to prepare your topic, whether you want to do a research on a particular topic or on a particular project. And I think you should do some background research on that topic and then write an email. And please keep some time at your hand on when you want your reply. So if you don't get a reply in about, say, 2 weeks, maybe follow up that email to that professor, or move on to other professors. So just please be patient, because researchers in general are very busy people. They have to do research and teaching and write grants and all the things. And in Japan also, the researchers are very busy. So please be patient with your applications and try your best. That's all I can say.
All right, thank you very much. PhD supervisor, and how was that? Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us how tips and tricks, maybe how to get their attention.
Okay, I get my PhD professor by email, and then the first is I prepare the research proposal, and then I attach for my CV and also my IELTS, because it will be considered to our professor to see our IELTS first, and then after that, when our professor replied to me, and then I discuss about my research proposal and make the research proposal and completely make the good research proposal with the professor. And after that, professor will give suggestions to several scholarship, like Max, or also maybe JICA or JAS or anything. I think that's all.
All right, thank you very much. So do we actually not have any more questions? So I actually have a couple of questions that was actually asked by some of the attendees before joining, especially about scholarships. I think, so yeah, I think a lot of people are asking about how to get a scholarship. Maybe here I would want to ask some people. So I'm sure like most of us are getting scholarships. So yeah, maybe Omar-san, you could maybe you could share your experiences on how you managed to get a scholarship, for example. Yeah.
Thank you, Nicholas-san. Actually, in my case, I'm a Max scholar. So my path was pretty simple and easy, I'll say. I actually visited in Japan back in 2019 through Sakura Science Program and visited Osaka University. As I stayed in Japan for 7 days, learned about my fields lab in the Osaka University, and went back to my country. And then after a year, when there was a circular, there are two types of circular for Max scholarship. One is embassy circular and another is university circular. So you can actually try either of them. So I actually applied for the university circular, and there is a complete guideline how to apply for Max scholarships. So you can just follow there the steps as much as I remember, that you have to fill up some forms and application forms that will be uploaded in the website of the university if you are applying for a university circular, or if you are applying in an embassy circular, you will find the application forms and guidelines in the embassy's website. So, so I actually applied to the university circular, and there is another step is side by side with applying by the forms. You have to email your preferred professor. So after applying, maybe after 2 or 3 months of applying, probably 2 months. I got a reply from my professor supervisor. He said that I got selected from the preliminary selection. After the preliminary section, they take an interview. In my case, it was an online interview. After that interview, I actually got selected. Like, I passed the entrance exam of the university. Then the university recommended me for a Max scholarship to the Ministry of Education Japan. Then the Ministry of Education Japan approved my scholarship. And after that process, I came to Japan. So this is my way of coming to Japan through scholarship was university circular. the other system is Embassy. It's almost same, but in Embassy, you have to give another exam that is different from the university circular. But the exam is taken in the embassy, Japan Embassy in each country you are applying from. So yeah, that is bit different. Like the exam is actually on language proficiency in English and in Japanese. So that is a different way. I am not pretty sure of the details of that way, but yeah, this is how I managed my MEC scholarship.
Okay, thank you very much, Omar, for sharing your experiences. So actually, I have a question. What's is there a better way to apply for MECs? Is it better to apply through embassy, or is it better through your university or through your professor, or it's the same thing?
It depends how much your embassy is active.
Right.
I'll say I have seen much difference in embassy and university circular. Like if you are recommended from the university, I think the university has a lot of information beforehand. You come to the university itself, then embassy. Like embassy steps are actually a bit behind than the university steps, but the steps are same.
Okay.
But maybe this is the advantage.
Okay, so it's a bit, yeah, it's in essence it's quite similar. So there's only subtle differences, and you can basically choose maybe after contacting your professor, maybe.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I would like to ask another presenter. So maybe Tanzin, you could like talk about the scholarship that you were getting and things like that. Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Nicholas-san. In my case, my supervisor is searching the Myanmar student. So this one, MEC scholarship has two parts: a university recommendation and embassy recommendation. So this time, my supervisor is searching Myanmar student to collaborate between Myanmar and Japan for environmental pollution. So this one we need to apply to our supervisor. We need to send CV. So this one apply many students are sent to our sensei. So this one sensei choose me. Unfortunately, sensei choose me. So this one we prepare together research proposal and also other documents. After that, these are the sensei choose me, but we need to communicate it to other university and communicate to university office, JSST. So this one, other engineering department also apply scholarship. So this one, MEC scholarship has many applications, has many criteria. For example, English school is very important. Look like IS or TOEIC or something. So this one, in case in Myanmar, man or young generation has English score. So this one, in this year also, university recommendation, Myanmar engineering student, 4 students are passed because they has English score. And also they contact supervisor frequently. So this one they get. So this one, I would like to suggest if you want to get a university recommendation scholarship, please search find prefer supervisor. So if you found that you are preferred supervisor, you contact a good CV, prepare first good CV. After this, what type of research do you want to do? So this one you need to search this supervisor article or something. After this, you reply supervisor article and you propose the proposal, good proposals you can write. So,
okay. Yeah, thank you very much. So basically, you just got to go to your professor. You could ask your universities as well. So I was so basically, yeah. So these are for the MEC scholars, and so there are a lot of scholarships that's available as well for everyone. That's especially there's a lot of scholarship that's available for people from Southeast Asian countries. So especially like from my experience, I was also getting MEC scholarship for my undergrad, which was which was also recommended by my university, and that is all totally up to your university to decide. And so you could maybe ask your professor or your potential professor to maybe give you information on that. But also, even though you don't have the MEC scholarship, or if the MEC scholarship isn't available, because some universities don't have MEC scholarship, you could also apply for external funding. So there are a lot of foundations. For my master's, for example, I was applying for scholarships and different foundations. So sometimes you would also need your university letter of recommendation. So your university could recommend you for some sort of scholarship, and then you would be able to apply for that scholarship. But there are also some other scholarships that you could apply freely. You could apply from wherever you are. So for more information, I suggest you go look at the JASO's homepage. So they have a list of scholarships, especially those that are already certified basically by the Ministry of Education of Japan. So yeah, again, you could check the JASO's website for those information. So there's also a question here, and in the Q&A box regarding grant support for researchers from the Sakura Science Program. So apparently, unfortunately, there's none. So there is no grant support for research, for example, but the Sakura Science Club itself is focusing on short-term exchange only. So for students, especially who wants to go for exchange, so this is the correct, yeah, this is the more appropriate thing, yeah, and not grant for research. And thank you very much for the wonderful question. So yeah, and there's also another question about if university or lab support fund to take part in international conference overseas. So I would like to just kindly answer that question maybe. So from my experience, it always depends on your professor. It always depends on your supervisor. Sometimes they would let you, especially sometimes if you have results out and you have like good results, they would let you go, but it's not always the case. So it's always something that you need to confirm with your supervisor first, especially if you really want to go to an international conference. You might want to confirm first before you join that certain lab or be under that certain professor's supervision. So yeah, that's it. And do we have any other questions? Please, if you have any more questions, please add more. Okay, so there's another question and about how to learn Japanese language. Is there an easy way to learn Japanese language? So yeah, I'll pass this question, for example, for now to Chin-san. Maybe you could you have some opinion about that, because you're also working in Japan and you're also using Japanese in your daily life, I suppose.
Thank you, Nicolas. I don't know how the people can improve their Japanese fastly, but in my experience, in the beginning, I have the 6 months for Japanese intensive Japanese learning course provided by the MEC scholarship. So in the university, the professor told me very basic about the Japanese rules, about Japanese grammar. So, and after that, this depend on your interesting about Japanese. If you want to improve your Japanese, you have to learn every day. You have to spend at least 20 minutes per day to read the book or learn to watching the Japanese program, or even for drama or anime. So every day by day you improve a little by little. So at the moment your circumstance is enough, you can talk freely and you can become the more fluently in Japanese. I don't know how this is the correct way, but depend on yourself.
Okay, thank you very much. So yeah, so I think there's not an easy way to learn Japanese. There's no shortcuts. But I think from what I understood, well, from my experiences, from my own experience so far, trying to get immersed in like a Japanese environment. For example, when I was doing research, it helped me a lot. Just trying to force yourself to use it every day. It definitely will help you to get better in Japanese faster, and also to acclimatize to your current environment. And that would be the last question for now. And yeah, thank you very much for all the audience for attending this session. And I would like to pass the microphone to Adam-san. Please.
So thank you, Nicholas, and fellow panelists for joining us and the interesting discussion at today. It is understandable to face some difficulties and differences in foreign countries, especially language barrier and diet restriction, more so during the COVID era. So, well, thankfully, Japanese university and the society in general has been relatively helpful in helping us to cope with these problems, such as mentioned in the panel by the panels just now, health check twice a year to make sure you're healthy. Well, anyway, due to time constriction, we couldn't take any more questions. But anyway, if you have any extra inquiries, we have Sakura Science Club mentors in our Sakura Science website, and we have mentors that are very happy to help answer your questions. All right, that's all for season 1. So tell me, what do you think about the season? Does it affect your impression of Japan? Please vote on the screen right now and let us know. So I'm pretty sure today the panelists have shared their ideas and their opinions and their thinking about how lives in Japan is like and how they go coping with it, and especially like Japanese language is not an easy language to learn, but if you're here in Japan, it's actually relatively easy to get a hold of the language itself. The environment here is quite suitable for to master it within perhaps 1 or 2 years. All right, time's up. Let's have a look at the results. Shall we? All right, we have, again, more than 60%. That's more than 60% that is interest, that has the impression change after hearing this section. So for our next section, we'll be bringing you top tier next generation research in Japan on photodynamic medicine, which is the curing of cancer with light. But before that, please, everyone turn on your cameras to take a big group photo. So everyone, if you may, please turn on your cameras. Okay. All right, ready? Everyone ready? So on the count of 3, 3, 2, 1, cheese. Okay, one more, second shot. Ready? 3, 2, 1, cheese. Okay, thank you very much. So that's all for season 1, and we're going to take a short break of intervals for about 10 to 20 seconds, and we'll catch up with you guys in a minute, soon. All right, welcome back. let us not waste any time. And so on to our next section, the top tier research in Japan for curing cancer with light. We are honored to be able to invite medical professionals in the field of photodynamic medicine from Kochi Medical School, Kochi, Japan. So first and foremost, let us give a warmest welcome to Professor Dr. Furihata Mutsuo, the Dean of Medicine of Kochi Medical School, to give us an opening remark for this session. So Professor Furihata gained interest in cancer pathological research since his bachelor studies and has been passionate about it till today. It is also very supportive on photodynamic medicine research as well. All right, Professor Furihata, the stage is yours.
Hi everyone, it's my great pleasure to have the opening speech of second session today. A medical treatment involves a combination of both medical science and the practitioner's attitude towards the patient. William Oscar once stated that the practice of medicine is an art based on science. At Kochi Medical School and National University Corporation, we aim to fortify the two pillars of modern and advanced medicine. In other words, art and science. While modern and advanced medicine may appear incongruous at first glance, the treatment we implement is based on utilizing the latest and the most advanced medical knowledge and providing the utmost best service to patients. As we strive to find optimal treatments for our patients, we may encounter clinical obstacles which become the potential seeds of medical research. We have the Special Center for Innovative and Translational Medicine in cooperation with researchers and medical students, playing a leading role in promoting creative and forward-looking research and technological development in medical science and treatment. Here, students can learn about medical research hands-on in real world setting in our advanced medical science courses. By immersing students in current medical research that generate new knowledge rather than prepared verbal exercise, students have the opportunity to obtain valuable new discoveries. It's essential that students learn the scientific principles behind the treatments they will administer in the future. Once one graduated and enters the medical fields as doctor and encounter limitations in various medical treatments, one can always return to our graduate school program to acquire further knowledge to develop new skills for overcoming limitations. We cultivate learners who will be instrumental in changing the future of medical treatment. The future of the medical treatment through our offered MD PhD course, Master of Public Health course, and Innovative Medicine course, where students can learn about clinical research and the tools to solve medical treatment challenges. Making a 46 years milestone. We are now transitioning to a period of sophistication. Kochi Medical School will continue to cultivate individuals who are well-versed in medical treatment, able to generate new treatment based on forefront medical science and modern medicine to solve medical issues occurring throughout the world. Our Kochi land is broadly facing to the Pacific Ocean, always opening to the whole world, every country, a person in the diversity of ethnic groups. Please knock a door whenever you have the chance to get your future on a bigger scale than image. Sakura Science Program will help and support your decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Furihata, for introducing the environment of studying in Kochi University, be it in undergraduate or postgraduate studies. We are sure your passionate speech today will indeed inspire many to the medical field in the future. So coming up next, I would like to invite our first speaker of the day, Professor Dr. Inoue Keiji, the Director of Department of Urology and Center for Photodynamic Medicine, Kochi Medical School, to give us an overview of what photodynamic medicine is and its importance and how it can help save lives. Professor Inoue, the mic is yours.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for giving the opportunity of my presentation. I'm Keiji Inoue. Call me Keiji. So I'm urologist. So I will share screen. Please wait a little. Can you see?
Yes, we could.
Okay.
Please.
Okay. So, well, today I will talk about photodynamic medicine. So we live in Kochi City in Japan. So Kochi is famous for Kochi Castle, Katsurahama Beach, Roasted Bonito, Japanese sake, and Yosakoi Dance Festival. And particularly 5-aminolevulinic acid. It is called 5-ALA for short. Mediated photodynamic diagnosis, it is called PDD for short. To diagnose invisible cancer, we used 5-ALA as a photosensitizer for PDD. You can see invisible cancer. Here you go. For PDD, we used 5-ALA as a photosensitizer. 5-ALA is an endogenous natural amino acid biosynthesized from succinyl-CoA and glycine, and a common precursor of chlorophyll for photosynthesis in plants, and heme for electron transport system in animals. Propyl-9, it is called PP9 for short, biosynthesized from 5-ALA, is photoactive. So 5-ALA was approved as an oral photosensitizer for bladder cancer, Alagriol, in 5 years ago in Japan. In cancer cells, abnormal activity of several transporters and converting enzymes enhances to produce propofin-9. Moreover, abnormal activity of transferrin receptor and ferrochelatase inhibit to metabolized to heme protein. So cancer-specific excess accumulation of propofin 9 is due to these common biological characteristics of cancer. This is called Warburg effect. The excitation of blue light produces red fluorescence because propofin 9, PP9 is photoactive. This is the mechanism of 5-ALA-mediated PDD. These endoscopic invisible regions could be confirmed by ALA-PDD, I mean 5-ALA-mediated PDD visualization. You can see tiny region here, 2 or 3 millimeters tumors, I mean cancers, flat regions, and concomitant flat region with raised tumor. So I will show you a video. This is 5-ALA-mediated PDD guided endoscopic surgery for blood cancer, leading to confirm correct surgical margin and resect completely. At first, we confirmed correct surgical margin by ALA PDD, and then we resected the tumor with a looped type of electro scalpel. Now you can see the lesion with red fluorescence just at the resected margin here, like this. So we resected this residual tumor, residual cancer additionally and completely. So Center for Photodynamic Medicine is Japan's first department of practice, research, and education deal with special medical technology using special light source. We develop and spread Kochi's original medical technology, such as photodynamic diagnosis, PDD, and also photodynamic therapy, PDT, employing 5-ALA to the world. And finally, photodynamic diagnosis is a novel and promising strategy for the detection of a great variety of cancer. So we can say we never miss malignancies, I mean cancers with 5-ALA PDD. Let's develop photodynamic medicine together. Center for Photodynamic Medicine is waiting for you in Kochi. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Uwe, for the interesting presentation and great overview of what photodynamic medicine is and what the center has to offer. So I believe the audience now have a general idea of what photodynamic medicine is. Okay, next, I would like to enter the Q&A section. So first and foremost, Professor Inoue, what can you tell us about the risks associated with handling photodynamic medicine? Please also describe the safety practices during surgery as well.
Yeah. I'm a urologist, so I deal with bladder cancer operation. So in patients with orally applied 5-ALA, there were some adverse events. So such as hypotension, mild photosensitivity reaction, a mild liver dysfunction, nausea and vomiting. But all of them are very slight and slight to mild. So we guarantee 5-ALA is basically safe, I can say.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the question. Second, I would like to ask about, there's another question that came in just now. So what are the qualities needed to be a doctor and researcher at the same time? What are the qualities of a doctor? Quality.
What quality?
Quality. 医者としての性質。Doctor's quality.
It is difficult to say. So, how to mean? What's mean?
So I think the question, the audience is trying to ask, like, as a doctor, what skill do you need? What attitude do you need?
So, you mean doctor degree, right?
You are a medical surgeon. So as a surgeon, what qualities do you need? For example, you need to be careful or passionate. Would you tell us more about it? Like as a doctor, what do you need? So in my opinion, I think like as a researcher and a doctor, as a researcher, from my personal view, as a researcher, we need to be careful. We have to be proactive when we are working.
Yeah, practice is very, very, very. We need to practice. So, right, you're right.
So I'm not a doctor, but from point of view of a researcher, I think doctors need to be
you mean
very
medical,
good at handling. Yes, medical doctor.
Medical doctor. Yeah.
Yes. I think they need to be very good at handling stress.
Yeah.
On that. So I think as a researcher and a doctor, we need to be proactive. We need to be able to handle a huge amount of stress, and you also need to be passionate about your work. So I'm moving on to.
And also we need a judgment.
So Professor, what kind of judgment do you mean? For example, like, do you mean during surgery you need to be?
Yeah. In surgery, we need a judgment. I mean, go or stop and wait. So operation is a judgment. So.
I see. Thank you very much for the answer. So, without further ado, I would like to thank you, Professor Noe. So without further ado, I would like to move on to our next speaker.
Yep, thanks.
Okay. Next, I would like to invite Dr. Fukuhara Hideo, an associate professor in the Department of Urology, Kochi Medical School, to talk about current researchers in the field. Dr. Fukuhara, please.
I am Hideo Fukuhara from Kochi Medical School. I am urologist too. Please share my image. Can you see my slide?
Yes, we could. Yes, we could.
I appreciate for the giving opportunity of my presentation. Today, I would like to talk about photodynamic diagnosis of bladder cancer using 5-ALA in Japan, especially clinical application. ALA PDD for bladder cancer was clinically introduced at our medical center in 2004. ALA PDD has made it possible to visualize smaller lesions and flat lesions that were previously difficult to visualize by cystoscopy using a white light source. We present our trial of intraoperative ALA PDD in bladder cancer in Kochi Medical School. In Japan, bladder cancer patients are about 21,000 per year. And bladder cancer incidence and mortality is increasing every year. The number of bladder cancer mortality is about 9,000 in Japan. Bladder cancer is classified into two types, non-invasive type and invasive type. Non-invasive bladder cancer is macroscopically papillary and penetrated. This type is not invaded muscle layer, this layer. And invasive bladder cancer is macroscopically non-papillary and non-penetrated. This type is embedded into muscle layer. The gold standard operation for non-invasive bladder cancer is translational resection of bladder tumor, TURBT. This operation is endoscopic bladder surgery from urethra. This endoscopic chip have electrosurgical knife. This electrosurgical knife, we use this electrosurgical knife and resect bladder tumor bit by bit. But we suffer from high recurrence rate after TURBT. To resolve this disadvantage, high recurrence rate, we introduced photodynamic diagnosis, PDD, for bladder cancer. PDD can detect invisible bladder cancer by white light source. PDD is good for these flat and tiny lesions. Tumor regions showed red fluorescence. In 1994, Kriegmeier reported world first error PDD of clinical use for bladder cancer in Germany. After 10 years, we started clinical research of AR PDD for bladder cancer in Kochi Medical School. This is the first report of AR PDD for bladder cancer. Kriegmeier reported good result of 68 bladder cancer. And we use Araglio as photosensitizer in PDD. Araglio is 5-amino ribulosic acid, ALA. The efficacy and effect is visualization of non-massive invasive bladder cancer in TURBT. And we can use two types of PDD system from Karl Stoltz, Image 1S PDD camera system, and Viscera Elite 2 with RDAC system from Olympus and SBO Farm. Both systems are high vision system, so we can observe very clear and bright visions, including PDD imaging. This is a video. This is a trigon part of bladder. We can observe flat red fluorescence regions very clearly. We can detect accurate tumor margins in any flat regions. The next video, we can see a papillary tumor and PDD mode. Tumor showed red fluorescence like this. We cut tumor tip by tip like this. This is TURBT techniques. We use a frontal type loop in posterior wall of the bladder wall. Then we check PDD mode. We can see red fluorescence lesions. This is bladder cancer lesions. And we cut this red fluorescence bladder cancer lesion. We can reject completely. In PDD, sensitivity was especially improved compared to conventional white light source. Sensitivity in PDD is about 90%. We can detect accurately bladder cancer lesions, such as tiny lesions and flat lesions in PDD. And we investigated real-world benefit of ALPDD in bladder cancer. We compared recurrence between 88 patients of white light and 105 patients of PDD using retrospective analysis. This is a prognostic analysis by swimmer plot and person time method. Blue dot is recurrence cases and red dot is progression cases. This is white light TRBT. This is PDD TRBT. Total number of total dots in PDD is few compared to white light. LAPDD improves recurrence rate. And even in recurrence cases, LAPDD prolonged twice as long to recurrence. So LAPDD have therapeutic effect, not only diagnostic effect. Next is about LAPDD for human prostate cancer cells, mainly PC3 cells. Light color is a very important factor in ALPDD diagnosis and ALPDT therapy. Red light excite protoporphyrin 9, PP9 in mitochondria. Reactive oxygen species ROS arise and cancer cell is lead to cell death, apoptosis, and necrosis. This is the principle of ALPDT. And this is an animal model. We injected PC3 cells in back of nude mouse. We made ectopic implantation model. And then ALA was administered by intraperitoneal approach. Tumor was exposed and retrolyzed for 10 minutes. In pathological results, H staining and tunnel staining indicated necrosis in center part of the tumor, this area. Photodynamic therapy with 5-MeO-S have potential to standard therapy in urological cancers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Fukuhara, for the informative presentations. So the success of photodynamic medicine will never become a reality if it wasn't of the hard work and sacrifice made by researchers like you. So I would like to enter the next section, Q&A section. So the first one, how do I conduct clinical research in Japan involving patients if I'm a foreigner physician? Is there any possibility to conduct research with computer science? Please, Dr. Fukuhara.
Thank you. Questions. It is a very important point. If you really want to conduct clinical research for Japanese patients, you must come to Japan and do clinical research with us. It is difficult to do clinical research for Japanese patients with computer science. We do not have a method and program with computer science. However, if you want to conduct basic research about PDT and PDT, we can collaborate with you. We did a student exchange program with RCSI Bahrain in 2019. Two Bahrain students, medical students, come to our hospital and study about urology and surgery for 1 month. They studied photodynamic medicine and robotic surgery.
I see. Thank you very much for the answer. I hope this clarifies the question. So we have one question in the box. Good day, Dr. Fukuhara. So thank you for your presentation. Besides bladder cancer, what other types of cancer can we use?
We try to another cancer, especially upper tract urothelial carcinoma. It's the same oncological feature. Pathological is the same urothelial carcinoma. I will try to ARPDD for UTUC in the future. And other cancer, yes, is the famous cancer is brain tumor, and lung cancer is famous for ARPDT.
I see. Thank you. So, does these brain cancer, for example, show same sensitivity as well for cancer detection?
Yeah, it is the same result of sensitivity between blood cancer and brain cancer. Its sensitivity is about 90%. It's same result.
I see. Thank you very much. So moving on to the next question. Nick, our panel or moderator, Nicholas, would like to ask you a question. Please, Nicholas.
Thank you very much, Adam. Thank you very much for the really interesting talk. I just have a really easy question, I hope, because I'm mostly a molecular biologist. I'm really interested in how it changes like these visualization technique, the drugs that you use to visualize the cancer cells. How do they change the cancer cells in any way? I think they don't have any cytotoxicity from what I understood, but like how do they induce any changes in the cancer cells where the ones that you are adding this compounds to?
Can I weigh in? I'm trying to ask like what happens if you put in the drug? What will it affect the cancer cell?
So I mean like this visualization compounds here. So for this visualization, I think from what I understood, you add this ALA thing, right? So
yeah.
By adding that to the cancer cells, does it induce any changes, any global changes, for example, in their in the physiology or the morphology of these cancer cells? Does it change anything in the cancer cells itself, or is it just shows shows when you visualize it? Is it, or does it have any other effects?
Okay, thank you. So, Dr. Fukuhara, I think Mr. Nicholas is trying to ask, when you put in ALA, what the cancer cell, what kind of changes, physiological changes, does it have any physiological changes to cancer cell?
It's a common physical change of all cancer cells. This we can adapt all cancers for these techniques. cancer porphyrin metabolism is changed compared to normal cells. So we can only adapt only blood cancer, not all. We can adapt all cancers, brain tumor, lung cancer, and colon cancer, and hepatic cancer, and so on. We can adapt all cancers, I think. But we need clinical trials to use in clinical settings. This clinical trial is very important, but it's it's very hard to overcome the clinical trials.
I see. Thank you very much, Dr. Fukuhara. I hope it answers Mr. Nicholas' questions. So we still have a couple of questions, but unfortunately we are running a little bit short on time. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask us leave us a comment in the chat box, or email us, or even ask at the Sakura Science Mentor. We'll pick it up instantly as soon as we can. So So thank you, Dr. Fukuhara, for today. And so that's all for our session 2 today. Thank you once again, Professor Furihata, Professor Inoue, and Dr. Fukuhara for joining us today. Coming up next, I would like to invite Mr. Ito Satoru, the Director of Department of Planning and Management, Sakura Science Club, to give us a closing remark.
Thank you, Dr. Light, main coordinator of Sakura Science Club Japan, and Professor Furihata, Professor Inoue, and Dr. Fukuhara of Kochi Medical School, and moderators for today's webinar. And hello to all participants. I'm Sotaro Ito of JST. Congratulations on successful ending to today's event. I'd like to give my sincere thanks to all of you for your participation and mutual beneficial exchange of information. The purpose of today's event is to inform Sakura Science Club members and general viewers around the world about their experience of study and research in Japan, and to introduce top-tier research in Japan among members. Through today's event, we expect our network to strengthen towards the future, and Sakura Science Club members from around the world to encourage to come back to Japan as students, researchers, or business persons. I believe you have had the fruitful result from today's event. Japan always wants the best and the brightest like you. So if you have any questions, just go to Sakura Science Club the website and ask to our Sakura mentors. I believe the Sakura Science Club senior who are very active in Japan will help you. As you know, today's main moderator, Dr. Lai, is also one of the Sakura mentors. JST is very happy to support you anytime with Sakura Science Club Japan. So here, last but not least, I'd like to thank Mr. Kazuki Okimura, the founder of Sakura Science Program, for attending today's event. Thank you, Mr. Okimura.
Thank you very much.
Finally, I look forward to seeing you at the next Sakura Science Club event co-hosted by Sakura Science Club India, scheduled for September. Thank you so much, everyone.
So thank you, Mr. Ito, for the remark. So I would like to invite all panelists and speakers to please turn on your cameras to say goodbye. So we're very happy for everyone to join us today. We hope you learned a lot about Sakura Science, about lives in Japan, and also hope you got inspired and motivated after listening to our Professor Fujihata, Professor Inoue, and Dr. Fukuhara's research as well. And sadly, all good things have to come to an end. So therefore, I would like to announce the end of second Sakura Science Club Japan alumni meeting. So be sure to follow us on our webpage and Facebook to keep track of our latest events. And thank you for your participation. And we look forward to see you again next time. So we'll close this webinar, this Zoom meeting after 5 minutes later. So see you. Hope to see you soon. And take care. Goodbye.
Thank you.